This podcast is a production of Unfiltered Studios. If you would like to know more about joining Unfiltered Studios, please visit our website at unfpod.com for more information.
All alike. Well, this time John Wayne does not walk off into the sunset with Grace Kelly.
It's Gary Cooper, asshole.
Not the Gary Cooper that's dead.
My idea was Gary Cooper, but he's dead.
It was Gary fucking Cooper.
Righty. Oh my goodness, guys.
Yeah.
A true testament, as Little White Lies has put in perspective, as a film about integrity, duty, and morality, and a testament to Law and Order. It is 1952's High Noon. We'll talk a little bit about the TV sequel, but I just was looking forward to this, and once the chat started, getting explosive, I was like, man, we're talking about, just everything, how, Gary Cooper has been referenced in, any version of Putting on the Ritz. We've started talking about different TV shows like Miami Vice and Looney Tunes Westerns. This is something that's been referenced in everything from Mario Van Peebles' Posse, Ghost Dog, Way of the Samurai, the Ed Harris film Appaloosa, Nick of Time, Outland, Die Hard too. And at the beginning, you guys just heard some clips from Die Hard, The Sopranos, Sure Thing, and Midnight Cowboy, all referencing Gary Cooper and the High Noon formula.
Yep.
I figured this was just going to be a fun just tribute to the remodeling of the Western. And obviously, every other podcast has already covered how it's an allegory for Fred and company being attacked by the Un-American Activities Committee for communist allegations. And we've heard a million times how John Wayne thought it was a piece of shit because he didn't like the sheriff portrayal and yet ripped it off for Rio Bravo. It's like, you piece of shit.
Well, he did Rio Bravo as kind of his answer to that because he said he didn't like High Noon.
Wasn't it John Ford, the director, though?
It was. He did those with it, but
with John Wayne.
Yeah, and the original Free Tin to Yuma is kind of another variation on this whole thing where the friends close, enemies closer. This was really fun to rewatch it for me because it's always been one. It's a slow build. It takes a while, to kind of get the conflict going, but this is pretty much at its core, like, without this you don't get anything else. Like, you don't get the epic good versus evil, you don't get even Frank Miller. Obviously Akira Kurosawa's Seven Samurai has a similar formula: a village under siege and the most unlikely people asked to defend it. We're talking about a common ground, like a common formula. Like, can you imagine this movie not existing in any portion of film history?
No, I mean,
by the time they show up and it's 5 minutes away, you're riveted. It draws you in.
Yeah.
It's very well. The editing is great. Isn't it almost shot in real time as well?
It seems almost like that, and that's I think the emphasis of the clocks that they show throughout the film.
I was watching.
Given how Fred did a lot of psychological studies, I think it was definitely a style. I mean, obviously people have seen Gary Cooper and his other baseball and period dramas and Sergeant York, but I mean, I can't even imagine this not being on his resume nowadays. Like,
this is the one that put him in the everyman category because he's playing a sheriff who's basically got to uphold the law, and he's got these guys, and they're coming to town to cause trouble.
Yeah,
and he's he doesn't know what to do. He's conflicted, but his deputy even like flakes out on him. It's like, no, I can't do it. I can't do. Lloyd Bridges.
He says he can't do it because it's unless you support me for sheriff.
Yeah,
basically what he says.
I agree. I'll do it for a self trade-off, basically. Yeah.
It's one apathetic town. Seriously.
You see it echoed in today's district attorneys. You see stuff like this on the news for local scandals, and I think this is it. Like, I see people who go, "Oh, I don't like Westerns." I'm like, well, everything you see nowadays is kind of a neo-Western. I'm not even talking just Breaking Bad. I'm talking everything in a way is kind of echoing the Wild West.
Well, I mean, you look at like Tulsa King with Stallone.
Yeah, people are going gangster show. I'm like, but everything Taylor Sheridan does is basically a Western. Like, it doesn't have to have cowboys for that to be echoed.
There's a Miami Vice where Tubbs is tricked into going to an island and Calderon's after him. I think there's a shot of the church and High Noon. They almost match in the Miami Vice.
Absolutely do.
So
yeah.
I'm sure they were doing that, as a tribute,
And
and they did a good job with it.
This is Western 101. Like,
yeah.
This is. I wish they would teach it more in a film studies class. I don't really see stuff like this anymore. It's kind of more just Coppola mixed in with. Maybe the closest you might get is maybe some Jimmy Stewart stuff, but I don't see as much.
Well, the man who shot Liberty Valance, that's the or Liberty Valance, whatever it's.
That's a good twist on the formula. Where
that's a twist on it,
The most unlikely hero, once you look behind the curtain, who's the real hero? Yeah.
But the legend, not the truth, comes from that movie, I believe.
Perfect example of just. Here's the poster boy, and here's the guy who actually went out and got it done.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think the one thing you have to realize is that, it's the movie. I watched it a long time ago. I didn't get a chance to watch it again, and I do apologize. But
you've been going through hell and back, dude. You are the sheriff of your house.
Yeah. So what I think it is like I watched a movie a couple years ago called 3 O'Clock High.
Oh, nice. Bullying.
Yeah. Moscow. Yes.
Yeah.
That movie is High Noon in a high school.
Yes.
Where he's got to go against the bully, the guy who's going to beat the crap out of him.
Yes.
And the thing is that he's trying to get, people to help him out, and either he chickens out.
Mm-hmm.
He tries to, he makes out with the one teacher, and he tries to set the guy up for robbery, all this shit. And at the end, he's just got to come and face the fact that he's got to face this guy.
Clean slate. Yeah. It's a good parallel for dealing with a war at home, so to speak. It's just he's only going to keep fucking with you if you just keep running away. So you're just gonna.
Superman 2 is like that too.
Yeah,
Superman 2 has.
He tries to drink it off. He tries to say
no. In Superman 2, he renounces his powers, and what happens is that.
But remember when he's at the bar?
No, that's Superman 3.
Oh,
2 is when he renounces his powers.
I don't know how
he becomes. And him and Lois Lane.
Peanuts at the bar. Yeah. There's a bar.
I'm getting it mixed up with the bar fight. My God.
Well, he has to have that showdown with the other 3 Kryptonians.
But
Zod.
Yeah, superhero version of I knew it. And that's just it. Everyone just assumes it's got to be cowboys and guns or sheriffs. It's like, no, it's just. It can mean just an isolated incident where 2 opposing forces finally have to duke it out, but they got a code and one of them's not following the ethics, and it's drawn out deliberately, to show that, like this is going to determine the fate of everybody.
And how many movie trailers do you hear now he's fighting back? It's pretty much High Noon,
Yeah.
Not done as well, but yeah.
I remember that with Tom Skerritt, I think.
Yeah. The movie,
like an answer to Death Wish.
Was it Vigilante? Was it Vigilante?
No. It was Fighting Back, but Vigilante.
Fighting Back, yeah.
Mark.
But I can remember a lot of those Vigilante movies back in the 70s. I mean, Death Wish, even though he doesn't get after the guys who killed his wife and raped his daughter, you know, the Kersey character is a guy who's basically got to face up and say, "Look, I'm not taking this shit anymore. I've been plastered enough. Now I got to go after people." But that, the Vigilante movies of those, the 70s and the 80s, like The Execution and all that, that's kind of a twisted version of High Noon. The guy has something happen to him. Now he's got to go after the bastards that did it to him. You know,
every Walter Hill movie, but
yeah.
it is kind of to that point. I mean, before we got into all the other Death Wish and Man on Fire type revenge movies, but yeah, it is ultimately you the hero, even if they're not taking a sheriff, they are, even if they don't take out the trash, so to speak, they are still deciding, I'm going to make a stance with or without weapons, and I'm going to, like, I'm at my breaking point. Like, this is going to turn, I'm going to have repercussions after I deal with the baddies. It's a
Walking Tall.
Yes, Walking Tall is a total modern High Noon Death Wish.
If you want to take another angle, a lot of blaxploitation films are based around the same thing.
Shaft, definitely.
No, I'll go one better. Sweet badass song. Sweetback, sweet
there
badass.
You go.
Sweetback, badass song. Absolutely.
Yes. The Outsiders, more like the book version is kind of I knew, but with gangs, the Warriors. Yeah.
And going back to blaxploitation for a moment, Fred Williamson, I saw an interview with him, and he talked about he had 3 conditions, and one of them was that he didn't die at the end.
Yes,
and he always got the girl.
Cannot die.
Yep, and that pretty much puts any Fred Williamson movie into that category of a High Noon.
Yeah, that's exactly how High Noon ends.
Even some of his,
well, at least until From Dusk Till Dawn.
Right, there you go.
Yeah.
That movie, I saw it with a buddy from work, and I went halfway through, did they switch reels? What the heck happened? You know, it totally took you by surprise.
What happened to the movie? Yeah.
Yeah. What happened here?
And Tarantino definitely references all sorts of westerns, spaghetti to early 50s like this, and it is funny how kind of like Commando, someone will just say its name sometimes, and you're like, all right, game time. An acknowledgement of earlier movies and an acknowledgement that you're gonna do your character's gonna do something similar.
Commando is like that. That movie
Commando definitely is. I once wanted to make a book of all the movies kind of containing these kinds of formulas and actually call it Commandos Die Hard at High Noon.
Raw deal.
Raw deal. Yeah, there you go. Schwarzenegger. Yeah. So I mean,
you shouldn't drink and bake.
Drink and bake. Yeah, it's the total same formula. Be the sheriff, but they do kind of a wackier angle with it, where he's fighting Scarface type mobsters. And
you can argue that the arc of Luke in Star Wars is
kind
of like,
it's totally
with him and Vader.
Kurosawa, Gary Cooper. I would argue that the last portion of both the first 2 Godfathers is kind of High Noon. We're taking back our
the last part of that, the first one, he takes down all 5 families.
All 5 families. It's if it's not that, then it's at least Yahimbo.
Yeah, it's like he kind of calculates it all. He's like, I'm waiting. He's like, when they're at their funeral, he's like, I'm waiting. I'm gonna get all this done the day of the day of Connie's son's baptism, and I'm going to take out all the 5, and all business will be settled.
Mm-hmm.
And you realize Michael's going to just basically become the one who mops up everything, and because
right.
the way I see it in that movie is like Barzini and who's the other one, Tattaglia and Cuneo, right? They're all looking at him like, you're weak, your father's dead, you can't do anything now, we're going to take over. And he basically just says, okay, I'm going to find the traitors who are my family, and then I'm going to take out the other heads of the family.
Before De Niro was doing the whole "I'm watching you," he was doing it.
And Michael starts out the good guy in the war hero.
Yeah, I want no part of it. It's for
Diane Keaton, that's my
scumbags.
family. It's not me. And then he changes. Yeah.
After his girlfriend that he sees overseas dies, he's like, you know what?
Yeah.
Well, no, he slides into it when he's got to take care of McCluskey and Salazzo.
Because he has to care for him, but he loses a portion of himself overseas.
Oh yeah. That's the part that gets me. And then
my sister did some studying on it, and they kind of hinted at it more in the book. Yeah, they don't really show it in the movie. You can kind of imply that because of the mobster influence, they made sure he had a good platoon to be a part of.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not sending him to that camp. You're sending him to the best
I don't want my son being sent to. What do you think? What do you think? What you think? Gonna be 2 miles away? Shoot him in the head. Bada. You got to put a gun in the head. Bada bing.
Oh, I would say the wild one with the earlier Marlon Brando biker movie is kind of a mild high noon.
I always say the one thing is like with a high noon movie, with like a movie that's if high noon and everything that's influenced, it's always some guy who's meek and meager, knows what's right, knows what's wrong. He's got to take all this crap and he's got to basically just settle it by the end of the movie. He's got to say that's enough.
And he, and has absolutely no support from the town for various reasons.
And Clint Eastwood always plays loosely with it. Like he'll have the shots and everything, but he'll often kind of have a lot other kind of like crime dwellings going on before you get to the unraveling of how like the outcome for the town, so to speak.
Was High Plains?
Yeah, it's a reference, but it's also kind of a different variation on it too. Like
Once Upon a Time in the West is high noon as well with
yeah.
And I also love the fact it's the three guys at the train station in both movies.
And it is so funny seeing all our Western stars saying, "Oh, I don't want to be like a spaghetti Western." I'm like, well, just because the hero is more of an anti-hero or a villain protagonist doesn't really change the formula. They're still killing. They're like the Punisher. They're getting rid of people who are way worse than them.
In some cases, it's not really established, what they are.
Yeah,
those
like much like Deadwood, they are trying to figure that out along the way. Like, who am I really? It's an identity crisis here. I'm pleased to tell you guys, I was expecting disappointment because not every TV movie can be a winner, but I really dug the 1980 follow-up.
Lee Majors.
Lee Majors, and directed by Jerry Jameson, written by the late great Elmore Leonard.
I'm sorry. I haven't had a chance to see the movie, but it kind of counteracts like the first movie, doesn't it?
I wouldn't say it counteracts so much, but it definitely it's kind of too comfortable, for better or worse, just showing where everyone is years later, and it's like we need Will back to put order. But basically they're going after a marshal who's abusing the town, and it was just fun seeing everyone's favorite here, Michael Pataki, as well as David Carradine here.
It's a sequel to the High Noon story. It's not a remake. It's
right.
Okay.
It's Will King comes back to the town.
TBS did do a remake back in 2000 that I never saw and didn't want to, but it had Tom Skerritt in the role with Michael Madsen as the baddie, and I was just like, I'm good.
I have that movie in a multiple DVD or multiple movie pack, and I just never got around to watching it. But
it's a decent rating, but I'm just like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, sometimes going off the movies, there's also a few occasions where delves into popular music. There was a song by Mason Prophet called Two Hangmen that really plays into the high noon concept.
Oh wow!
Basically, the story is a hangman is going to a town where they were going to hang the existing hangman because he was telling people that things were wrong, and so the new hangman had to come in and do the hanging. But then at the end, you find out that he couldn't do the hanging either, so they hung them both.
Oh,
just to prevent justice from being done.
Wow.
Oh.
That almost sounds like a Misfits kind of style of satire.
I think
it's not satire. It is a seriously good song.
Well, no, I'm sure it is. It's quite a twist though. Like,
yeah,
a third time was literally the charm.
What did people think of the acting in High Noon with some of the actors that got some lead time in it? For example, I'm thinking of Katie Gerardo as Helen Ramirez. She's playing a powerful character.
Yeah,
it has been noted for being a very rare, just progressive female lead role. It was fun seeing Lee Van Cleef and Lou Chaney Jr. as some of the punks.
Well, hell, even Jack Elam had a very small part.
Yeah, Mr. Western himself.
I think
Is the bar open? Is the bar open? You're going.
Yeah.
Well, there's a scene that was cut out of the film, from what I understand, and all we really see of him is his back until he gets let out of the jail, and he walks out, and that's it. That's all you see of him. But there's a storyline or something that got cut out with him.
The character, I think she talks Grace Kelly into defending her husband, and what she winds up doing. She winds up shooting one of the bad guys, and she gives her, she's a Quaker, hated guns. She had lost a brother.
It does bring up morals and your religious upbringing, and it is one of the few times I've seen him actually explicitly address, I'm a Quaker. And
that's the second time he made a movie as a Quaker, because Friendly Persuasion is the other one.
Oh, that's right. And you guys did heavily mention the clocks, and see, that was kind of my intro. Is like, like I would see people say, I would always look at film history books and be like, what's the significance of the clock? It's like, oh, it's a direct reference to High Noon, like frame by frame. But it was a homage always done well, in my opinion. Like, it was never one of those like, hey, here's this. It wasn't like what we did later in the 80s and 90s where, hey, there's this serial killer or erotic thriller formula we want to bastardize. Hey, there's this giallo frame that De Palma's stealing now, and that it's also it is just like I can tell if someone has seen Shane when they imitate someone getting shot off the balcony of a bar. I can always tell, when they are referencing High Noon. Like, it's just that inbred into the genre.
I couldn't help but notice, even in Batman, the Tim Burton first one.
Yeah, the Joker's the outlaw.
But there's a scene where Joker gets on his walkie-talkie and says, get a helicopter in 5 minutes. And then he goes, better make it 10 minutes. I timed it out. It is 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
They
I don't know if that was
honored the
intentional,
time.
but
it's not like one of those moments when you're
10 minutes goes by and all of a sudden you're so that was cool.
It's not like one of those movies where you're trying to wait for that bomb to go off and you're seeing the counter go down, and then the next time you see it, the time has gone up.
The timer would be bad. The biggest offender was when every movie misunderstood the significance of the Matrix and said, let's overdo the slow motion, make it shitty, and then is like, well, now you robbed us of any time and suspense, because thanks to slow motion, the hero is going to get out of the collapsing cave in time.
I love the shot of the train tracks too at the end. It's just you don't see anything coming, but you can just sense it, and then the white smoke and then the black smoke.
I saw a documentary about the white smoke and black smoke.
There's so many good ones.
About the brakes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yep.
Go ahead.
No, there's a few good ones you can find on YouTube. Yeah.
They through the camera. Yeah. The train, the brakes went out, and that's why the black smoke was going out.
And they didn't realize that's what the smoke meant.
But they kicked the camera out just in time, and that it broke the camera, but not the film,
not the canister or whatever.
Sometimes the best mistakes need to be left in. It's suspenseful.
Lucky nobody got.
Here I thought it was that the train chose a new pope.
Pope Locomotus the First has been chosen.
There's a beautiful crane shot near the end when they show Cooper walking alone down the street, and it's way up high. But I think there's a mistake. It looks like in the upper right there's a multi-level building that doesn't belong there.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
I wasn't imagining it then, and I think you almost see a freeway to it. Yeah.
Oh wow.
It's kind of like it's way in the background, but you're focusing on Cooper, so you don't notice it. But I happened to catch that.
I didn't catch it. I was just noticing him. I was just noticing him standing out there, and in this town, and he's the only one there, and that's all I really noticed.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the thing that nobody puts together is, if you ever seen the movie Witness with Harrison Ford?
Yeah, you did make a good call out. Yeah,
it's the opposite of what High Noon is, but it's the same present. it's the same. It's almost like it's like
A
the opposite. Like
reworking.
he has the boy sees the cops kill the guy.
That's the corrupt police department. Yeah.
Yeah, the corrupt police department. So they're going to go after him. He's hiding, in the Amish country, and my mother was like, "Oh, we can go to Amish country or witness or something." Like, yeah,
no thanks, Mom.
No, Mom. Yeah, and it's like he has to basically, control himself to be like the Amish, but he has to fight back, because if he doesn't fight back, then they're gonna get they're gonna get Lucas Haas, and all hell's gonna
he has
break
to
loose.
blend in with the surroundings
Yeah.
before he decides. And I feel like Touch of Evil, it's not so much like that, but it's in a similar tale of good versus evil, where it's just like the hero is the only one who understands the villain enough to want to strike back.
That Charlton Heston Touch of Evil?
Yes.
Yeah.
And but the difference is he spends the whole movie losing his shit before he finally says, "Okay, game time. I'm gonna kick this guy's ass."
And all I can say
I remember how mad I got in Witness when Ford finds out his partner was killed by the cops too. I said,
yeah,
I just go get him.
Yeah, that was a good expression. He's just like,
yeah.
I think the thing that got me the most is I was watching Death Wish 3 for some apparent reason, and I realized
definitely
that's almost like High Noon too, because
they got Rambo type violence, but they are totally referencing
but it's like
westerns. Yeah,
he comes in, he's like, I'm eating my ice cream cone. Can you get off my tongue?
How you doing?
Is Death Wish 3 the one that has Marina Sirtis in it?
Mm-hmm. Troy. Troy is the prostitute who gets.
Well, then I like that movie.
It has the Laughing Man or something like that, and he says one of the best lines is,
"You killed the giggler." Yeah,
they killed the giggler. Yeah, and then he says, he says something about you believe in Jesus? Yeah, you want to meet him? Bang.
Yes. Oh, and part 2, do you believe in Jesus? Yeah. And part 4, it's just so crazy how same kind of deal. Like he just kind of keeps coming into factories and messing with all the cartel guys. Just like, jeez.
Am I
He's driving them out of town and then some. Yeah. No.
Am I crazy, or is there a Flintstones episode where somebody's doing a take on Gary Cooper?
Oh, I'm sure there is.
I don't know if they take on Gary
You know what I'm
Cooper.
talking about, Tom? He says, I needed to find a break. He said,
so the character is actually called Gary Cooper?
No, but they're doing his mannerisms the way he acts. And I haven't watched that in years, but I just remember that being a very odd thing on the Flintstones.
I'm Rock Quarry.
Yeah.
It's the Rock Quarry. I'm Rock Quarry. And now I'll be Dutch Schultz. No, I'll be Fred Schultz, gas station attendant.
A movie star.
From my new movie, Dr. Jekyll's
I didn't imagine it. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's just it's an actor who's trying to escape the business.
My wife was showing me Have Gun Will Travel tonight.
Fun show, right?
She said there was an episode
we did
that
our Western
reminded her
episode. Yep, that was great.
There was an episode that reminded her of High Noon, and it was it was the episode season 6. Don't remember the episode number, but it was called Beau Jest.
Okay.
And it was about a sheriff who's got people coming to kill him. And
direct, answer to that. Yeah.
And I can't. Whatever. Paladin comes in and he's like, "Here, because he's the sheriff's getting weak. His eyesight's getting weak, so he's not as good a shot as he used to be." And so Paladin says, "Hey, well, I'll tell you what. You and I will have a showdown, and we'll draw guns, but you'll shoot first. Just don't hit me." And everybody will think that you're still good. But I didn't understand why, because he was leaving as sheriff anyway. He was going to be, just like in High Noon.
Yeah.
Damn.
One last ride onto the breach, I think.
Nice.
They did that with Tales of Wells Fargo too.
Oh.
Where there was an episode. It was like an episode of Tales of Wells Fargo.
Cut. My dude.
Yeah.
My dude.
Well, Tales of Wells Fargo. When was that on
57
TV?
to 62. Yeah.
57. Okay.
Yeah,
co-created
so
by
it
James
kind of
Brooks.
overlaps. Have Gun Will Travel in some strange way. So,
question is Cooper technically marshal in High Noon, or is he a vigilante because he already turned in his badge?
Yes.
I mean, he gets his badge back, but
he got his
wasn't he
badge back,
technically not? He was retired at that after the marriage, correct?
So your answer is yes.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
He's
back.
Dirty Harry at
comes
that
back
point.
on his own.
He's Dirty
because he
Harry
found out-
minus the nihilism. You know?
Right, he found out the sheriff wasn't going to be in town by the time those
That's
guys.
right. Yeah,
got
yeah,
there.
yeah.
I gotta go face him.
It's
Okay.
not like Nixon
That's a great
resigning at noon tomorrow. You know, he. Okay.
Oh man, it's great.
This is my imitation of Gary Cooper acting. Yep. Nope.
I thought it was great. He was.
It was either this or Pride of the Yankees, which was one of my dad's favorites growing up.
Yeah,
Cooper played the part pretty well. You know, you could see fear.
Yeah.
You know, and as he's going around town trying to get people to.
You didn't feel like he was acting.
Well, I heard he was in some pain while he was doing the movie too, so that might have helped.
Up there. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That fight scene with him and Mandelbaum or whatever.
Yeah, and he's older. He's not the young guy you saw in the Lady Eve or something like that. He's the older. He's an older man now. You know, he might be a little bit slow off the draw. You know, but you got to think he's and I think this is a few years before he passed away too.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, he was way too old for Grace Kelly.
Right. Yeah.
There's a 30-some year difference between them.
Yeah,
absolutely. And
I think it's
back
like
in the days
second
where
movie. She had a small part.
No one could tell back then.
Movies.
They were just like play to the camera, say your lines until we.
Yeah.
Hollywood was a real. Hollywood was pimping him out at this point. Yeah.
We'll do that movie High Noon with Grace Kelly. She's going to marry a prince from Monaco. What do you think of that?
How do you like them apples? Oh.
How do you like them apples, Charlie?
I found it funny that John Wayne. I found it funny that John Wayne accepted the award for Gary Cooper for a movie he didn't like.
Yeah, just hypocrisy. It's just like, you piece of work, dude. No shame.
I watched The Shootist.
It's a total High Noon.
Total High Noon, but the backstory.
Young Ron Howard.
But the backstory of it is amazing because, Richard Boone's in it.
Yes.
And, that's
John Carradine.
John Carradine's in it. Jimmy Stewart's in it.
Oh, not trained him on no.
That's
for Tom.
No, guys.
You got it all wrong.
Oh, I thought that was
No, John. Serenade us with a little something. Northern to Rio Bravo.
Lauren Bacall in the Old West does not fit at all.
That's fair. She was a femme fatale in noir, not westerns.
But when I watched that movie and people think he was dying of cancer in real life at that time, he wasn't that sick yet. But his character's dying of cancer.
The Genghis Khan movie. So
no, that's after. That's way.
Oh, it's after.
Well, the Genghis Khan movie is the one that gave him the cancer because there was no testing going on. Yeah.
Yeah, he had
it. Nevada desert. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think he just done.
This is after Green Berets, and in a way, that's kind of High Noon at the fort. But yeah, but it's so true. You're right. He disowns that movie because he doesn't like how he's all about I'm going to give you a taste of your own medicine, even though so many of his John Ford movies have High Noon type stuff. But yeah, I think when he was making The Shootist, he thought, I'm just doing essentially another variation of Man from Liberty Valance. I'm like, yeah, but you owe as much to High Noon as you do to that.
but the thing is that if you look at it in the long, if you look at High Noon, it's such a minimalist Western too.
I think that's why it's hard to introduce to today's crowds. They've seen it done to death, but I'm like, well, put yourself back when we had only pulp comics and books and a TV at 6. That's all you have.
It's still a compelling story, though.
It's a minimalist movie, but it's very
less is more.
Very well.
Yeah.
Who directed that?
Fred Zinnemann, and I actually blew my mother's mind when I was talking about it the other day. She's like, "How do you like it?" I'm like, "Great." And did you know about the parallels to the communist scare back then? No, tell me more. And so I think people have to realize the best movies come from, just like we talk about Star Trek and all the other shit to death. When you are echoing today's stuff and you put it in a different setting, that only makes it better because it's just the only way you can have a mature conversation about happenings of your current era.
Yeah, and the formula works in every genre. It's not just westerns. I'm thinking about that The Prisoner is a good example of the high noon philosophy.
I promise we will do something on it in the future. Yes,
and even the story arc with Doc Holliday and Johnny Ringo, that was high noon.
Yeah.
Yep.
Those Young Guns movies still hold up.
Kevin Kline and Brian Dennehy in Silverado.
Yes. Oh my word.
Yeah.
A great
Blazing Saddles could be.
I love that one.
Blazing Saddles. You're right.
Blazing Saddles could be considered a high noon.
That's true. Yeah.
Such a great parody.
Blazing Saddles is high noon with a laugh track.
And better off dead dimes.
Absolutely.
Better off dead is high noon on one ski.
There you go. And I want my $2. You did post that, and I was just like, perfect. I wish my brother could see that tweet.
the thing I love about Blazing Saddles is how he outwits everybody. That's the thing that town wins.
He's the smart one in the whole town.
Yeah. Baby, you're so good. And they're so stupid.
They're so dumb.
That's definitely It's definitely the town was not on his side in Blade. Same thing.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Different reason, but yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you guys brought up those along with 3 o'clock high. In fact, I take it back. Scarface is high noon in the last 40 minutes.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
It's high noon with cocaine.
High noon on cocaine. Yes. No, Michael.
You want a limit? Go ahead and limit. I don't fucking care. I'm going to snort so much cocaine. When they shoot me, I won't feel the bullets go in my body.
It's nothing personal. I just like my sister. Just a little more than usual. I don't know. I can't explain it. I'm on cocaine. Jaws is high noon, but,
with the shark.
Corrupt sheriff and a good sheriff and a corrupt mayor and a crazy ass shark.
Now that I think about it, isn't Blazing Saddles and even like you say Jaws, isn't that more like Rio Bravo because he had the support from Dean Martin, the drunk,
that or Free Tend to Yuma, where unlikely,
yeah.
And this is again the fun, with Rio Lobo and Rio Bravo is just those can be enjoyed too once you get past Wayne's ego. Is like, but it's also interesting how in one, he's kind of the star, and then all the rest of the town kind of takes over the showcase of the protagonist in a way. It's just it's fun seeing them switch it around because you got to have your own identity, otherwise you really are just a copy and paste.
What came first, Rio Lobo or Rio Bravo?
I always mix up the two myself. Let's see. Okay, that's 1970. Rio Bravo was 59, and Rio Lobo was 70, and then 6 years later was Assault on Precinct 13.
What's the one with Ricky Nelson?
Oh my God.
That's Real Bravo with. And that's Real Bravo. No, I think that's Real Bravo because
you're right.
He's the young guy.
Ricky
Dean
Nelson.
Martin's his like drunk or his alcoholic deputy.
Doing
he also deputizes Ricky Nelson.
Yeah.
What's the one with James Caan?
I think that's Lobo, but let's see. El Dorado. That's what it was. Yes.
El Dorado. That's the one.
I would always get that one mixed up too.
It's the same movies.
Yeah.
Because one has Robert Mitchum and one has
you gotta do better than Robert Mitchum than that.
I just thought of one
Cape Fear is high noon.
Copland was Stallone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every movie James Mangold does is practically high noon. Yeah.
Bruce Willis.
You want to go that far? Tango and Cash.
If you want a good Western with Bruce Willis, other than Last Man Standing, look at the Blake Edwards Western parody.
That one with James Garner.
Yes.
Sunset.
Sunset. Yes.
Sunset. Yeah.
He did it before Die
He plays
Hard.
Tom Mix. I think he plays Tom Mix.
Yes,
and
it's a total tribute to Tom Mix.
James Garner plays Wyatt Earp.
Yes.
And it came out and it bombed at the box office.
Yeah.
But it's kind of gotten its due with some
It was when people act like Blake falls off the train once he and Peter Sellers split up, but not so much. He's got so many underrated movies. He's just
one of my favorite ones is SOB.
What's that one Clint Eastwood and Burt Reynolds did?
City Heat.
City Heat. Yeah.
No.
The Untouchables in a way is kind of High Noon, where they're just like, we're gonna drive all these guys out of town, and then we're gonna go for all the guys representing Capone.
And Charles Martin Smith just basically says, why don't we just look at his taxes?
Yes, I love that line. Oh my goodness, yes. And don't you love the scene where he's tasting some of the illegal liquor?
Yeah.
One of them breaks the barrels. He's like, "Hey, I can see why these guys resort to this."
I mean, there's only so many times I can hear Sean Connery says, just like a guinea.
You take
yeah.
Who would claim to be that?
You bring a knife. I bring a gun.
They send her hunters to the hospital. You send two of them to the morgue. It's the Chicago way.
That's the Chicago way. Great. So here's the question I have for you guys: Is that David Mamet's movie or is that De Palma's movie? It's both. I know technically.
De Palma's.
Okay.
It's De Palma's.
It's good. It's cool to know because like I had this thing also with Scarface and Year of the Dragon. We were joking. Is that more Cimino and De Palma's movies or is that more of Oliver Stone's movie?
I gotta say it's more of it's not Mamet the way we know Mamet to be.
Mm-hmm.
Mamet's was working with good source material.
Yeah.
But De Palma made it his own, and De Palma's known to put those little touches in his movies, like, if you watch the beginning of Phantom of the Paradise, hint,
yes.
wink,
wink. Wink.
Yeah, which I would love to do because it's the 50th anniversary this year.
I promise we'll do some De Palma themed ones. We've been trying to think of since we're doing all these directors kind of themed movies, like Spielberg's war movies, Spike Lee satires. We're trying to. De Palma's so diverse; it's hard to pick down what are movies that kind of share the same theme.
I always look at his movie, The Phantom of the Paradise, as one of his best movies. And that's before Carrie. And that's after he done. I think it's before Sisters.
What would you compare it to though? That's what I'm getting at.
Well, the thing Phantom of the Paradise is that he does a lot of the shots, like he does like the baby carriage going down in The Untouchables.
Oh, it's the baby carriage.
In the beginning of Phantom of the Paradise, he does a homage to Touch of Evil, where he has the Phantom put the bomb in the car. And they do it like the scene in Touch of Evil when the car's getting, driving away and it explodes.
Yes.
And I'm like watching it. I'm like, hey, he just ripped off Touch. Oh, okay.
I see what you did there. So we would come up with a homage trilogy, I guess, for the film. Which is hard because he does homages in everything. So, oh man. My sister did actually once decipher how you could actually make sense of Connery's accent, how technically the guy he's playing did have like some Scottishness on like one side of his family. So I was like, yeah, that works better than Highlander, where he just travels everywhere and no one says anything.
So this book, Danny Perry says, personally, I think where is it? Personally, I think Cooper should have left town. He had already quit his job. But then he says, but I'm glad he doesn't because the final shootout is one of the Western's most exciting sequences. Well, if he leaves town, you have no movie.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so that's a good illustration of missing the point. It's not about
the whole town it left town too. Maybe that's what he's trying to say. I don't know.
That sounds like an impatient Amazon reviewer who just wants all the blood and guts, but no conversation.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. Go.
Well, I was just thinking, and in the ending scene where he throws down the badge.
Yeah, I'm not
'Cause he's
doing
fed
this
up
for
with the
my
temp.
career. I'm doing this because my deed is done.
Right.
I hadn't seen the
John
movie, but I
Wayne,
saw that coming. Sorry.
John Wayne, actually in an interview said something about like he didn't like he threw down the badge
Yeah.
and stepped on it.
He
And I said,
wants
no,
him
he
to
didn't
own
step
it.
on it.
No,
He didn't step on it. He just threw it down.
Those are like
That's
the
'cause he
people
was-
who watch violent movies, but they see more than what is actually on screen. It's just their imagination getting carried away because they dislike what they see so much. And you're like, well, that didn't happen.
Can I just say this? Who
Go
the
ahead.
fuck is John Wayne to criticize High Noon when he did freaking True Grit? And at the end
True
of
Grit
like
is
the
totally
one
High
scene,
Noon.
the one scene, he's fighting the 4 guys on a friggin' horse with a rifle and a pistol and the bridle in his mouth, and he goes, I call that bull talk for a one-eyed fat man. Ain't glad you son of a bitch. And he just
Well, for John Wayne, that's a more heroic stance. That's what he went for.
I know, but it's like I mean, sometimes I look at the movies
Once again, he's speaking the same language, but he's that ignorant he doesn't realize it. It's like
Yeah.
if it didn't come out of his mouth, it doesn't exist to him. And the Searchers, I think of that as Will Kane if he decided I'm gonna, take care of I have an extended family, I'm gonna save them.
I
and that's
noticed.
one of his. I'm sorry.
No, real quick. I noticed a nice little detail. Remember when they're in the church debating whether to help him or not?
Yeah.
Right after that, they send the kids out, and then they cut outside, and the kids are doing tug of war, and they both fall over. They both kind of fall over at the same time, so no decision was made in either case.
I'll be on the lookout for that next viewing. That's awesome.
Well, the
It's
kids
scene
playing.
juxtaposition.
Yeah,
Yes.
The kids
It was a
playing
nice
is
little
also an
touch. I like that.
indication.
I'm sorry. What was that?
The kids playing is also an indication, of just how much the town doesn't support him.
Right.
There's a scene where the kids are playing, and one of them is acting like, "Oh, I'm Kane, and I got shot."
Oh, and then they bumps into Kane.
Yep.
That was.
Or he walks into a bar and they're talking about Kane derogatorily.
He blew off the bloody doors.
Yeah, punches the guy out. He doesn't punch the kid out at least, but.
Oh Jesus, that's a John Wayne thing to do. My God, dude.
I also like the fact he let the horses free when the barn was on fire.
He also needed them though to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad they didn't kill the horses.
He's multitasking.
Yeah. I'm saving the horses and my ass too.
Yeah. The kids.
Yeah, but nothing about the donkey.
Don't let the horses and the donkeys save the jackass.
Save my walrus.
Cuckoo.
No, sir. I didn't like it.
Oh my God. Every Mad Max movie is High Noon in the desert.
I was going to mention that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you guys just trying to quote Ren and Stimpy there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
No, never mind.
It's just, but it's always funny when you have to tell people this. They always go, "What? What the hell? It ain't anything alike." I'm like, it sure as hell is. It's different flavoring, it's different substance, but it's following a formula or doing a different take on it. And I see other people who act like, oh, you're just trying to look for something to complain about. I'm like, we're not. We're just noticing similar themes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm only looking at it when I see J.J. Abrams' name splash across the screen. Where I'm like, okay, nothing original here. Nothing to see here.
Can somebody throw a light in the camera? It's not a J.J. Abrams movie.
And that's before I go blind.
Lens flare.
What do you guys, is Unforgiven kind of like that in a way?
It is. And
yeah,
I'm so glad you brought that up. I knew I was going to forget one of Eastwood's other classics. I mean, Hang 'em High is kind of more free to Yuma than High Noon, but still owes it. But I blew my grandparents' mind when I told them, you do know that movie's an anti-violent film, and they just couldn't see it because they just recall it being good but brutal. I'm like, well, but at the end of the day, he came here to pay money for his kids on his homestead. He's a widower, but that's ultimately at the end, it becomes a revenge. And, you got a sheriff who thinks he's doing the right thing, but because he's such a curmudgeon, he doesn't realize he's doing harm as opposed to good. And it's just I see people who kind of like Roger Ebert, it was so unusual than what they were used to. They really had to think long and hard about it. It's like, well, this is a food for thought movie. Oh. And I told you guys this before. I don't think Mike heard this. I listened to Rogue Commentary, which is a great podcast just showing commentary tracks, and they interviewed the Josh Olson, who now hosts a West Wing podcast and got an Oscar nom for writing a little-known Cronenberg film called A History of Violence. And Cronenberg was shown the movie Unforgiven, which was the screenwriter's influence, and he's like, I hate it. But the screenwriter had the last word, kind of, because he's like, well, I still worked in direct nods to that movie that went over his head. It's just like, and it just shows you, people just don't realize they're making another variation of a movie, even if they don't like that formula or think it's anything alike. It's like it's one part of the pie.
There's a movie that came out. There's one movie I forgot to mention. There's a movie that came out with Jim Belushi called The Principal.
Oh, yes. I love that movie. One of my favorites, yeah.
That to me is high noon, although he has Lou Gossett Jr., help him out in the end. And that to me is high noon because...
The Substitute is more Toy Soldiers.
The Substitute is also... Well, yeah, the Substitute is more like Toy Soldiers.
It's a little die-hardish with the Hans Gruber villain, but yeah, I mean...
But The Principal is this movie where he just friggin' takes on these guys, and what does he do? He gets on his bike at the end and rides off into the sunset.
Hands dirty, yeah, and he's like, I'm just gonna clean up the school and then I'm gonna ride away. I wouldn't even call him an anti-hero. He just got his hands dirty and he said, I don't want this job anymore. Yeah. My job here is done. Oh man.
Good stuff. Unforgiven was like Bonnie and Clyde, where it didn't glamorize violence in the least. It just it showed how ugly it was.
I have lost track of how many times
before that. It was much more powerful. Both those movies.
And much like that review you just shared of High Noons, dude. I will see people posting up, Unforgiven, the best scene. I'm like, there's plenty of good scenes. It's not the last 5 minutes. But I'll see people go, and it's like, again, they're in the Bronson mode. They're going, yeah, give them hell. I'm like, people like Clint Eastwood because, again, he's like any Walking Tall persona. He thinks out his vengeance, and he tries to be the bigger man in the room. And people just seem to think, no, he's a Steven Seagal type. I'm like, if it was Steven Seagal, he wouldn't be likable.
If it was Steven Seagal, he couldn't reach the gun.
He wouldn't reach the gun. It's like, you do it for me, and then I'll just come in and do a joke that doesn't make any sense while I pretend to be Cajun or black or half Japanese. Yeah.
Or Indian.
Or Indian.
The ending of Unforgiven is the way it should have ended, but it's it's still unsettling. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially when
you're not happy about it,
Right.
You should be. I don't know.
You're worried about the other people in the brothel. You're worried, what about Freeman's family? It's like, jeez. And how is he going to nurse himself back, to health when he can barely ride a horse, and he barely escaped with any payment to use for his kids? It's like, jeez.
How about Sharon Stone in The Quick and the Dead?
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Our target means High Noon.
We'll return after these messages.
If you like small town mystery, crazy news, and wild history, then the Florida Men on Florida Man podcast is for you. Each week, Josh Mills and Wayne McCarty bring you the absolute best Florida has to offer. So if you're looking for a show that's safe for the family, but funny enough to help you escape everyday life, then listen to the Florida Men on Florida Man podcast. That's Florida Men, plural, on Florida Man podcast.
Hey, it's Brent Pope, the host of Breakfast with Brent Pope. You've seen me on some of your favorite TV shows saying things like, give it up, Jimmy. You got to sink this putt to win. On Breakfast with Brent Pope, I sit down with guests from the entertainment world, and we do it all over breakfast. Or should I say Brentfast? Every week on Brentfast, you get inside Hollywood info and tips, great breakfast recs and booty debates. Most of all, you get the most delightful 30 minutes of your week. So dig in. It's Brentfast time. Listen at Brentfast.com, Apple Podcasts, or wherever fine podcasts are found.
The Jacked Up Review Show podcast is honored to be part of the Blind Knowledge Podcast Network. Join anytime, talk the talk, and enjoy yourselves. There's something enlightening for everyone with this crowd of cool cats. Check them out.
There's a couple things in that movie that really bothered me when I saw it. The shot of the guy getting his head, and they showed the circle through his head.
And the sunlight poking through it.
Oh, that just...
Yeah.
It was
that was pretty gross. Yeah,
I know. It bothered me, and then also him killing his son. Gene
God, yeah, that's right.
Oh, Gene Hackman. Yeah, he plays the
Patriot Games is Die Hard.
It was
High Noon.
DiCaprio. Yeah,
yeah.
That movie bothered me.
DiCaprio bothers me. It's all good.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, Sam Raimi. It was more down and dirty looking.
You're right,
for sure.
Well, and there you go. Evil Dead 2 and 3 are basically High Noon in a haunted house. It meets Romero. Yeah.
How about Friday the 13th? The girl that kills the
There you go. Oh my God.
and then Jason at the end jumping out of the
Living Dead. Yeah. All these different variations. And but before we had Straw Dogs and other home invasion movies. Yeah. I already mentioned Cape Fear, but this is more of a just.
Oh, Straw Dogs is bloody as hell.
Yeah, Peckinpah does that. Make sure when you watch Peckinpah. Yeah, no, he's good, but just make sure you watch it on an empty stomach.
Yeah.
I did see Major Dundee, and that still holds up. Definitely one of Heston's best roles.
All we can think of is Sam Peckinpah's Salad Days, the Monty Python skit.
Yeah. Anyone for tennis?
I say Lionel, catch.
That was so over the top. It was hilarious. Kind of like,
my God,
kind of like the end of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood too. It was. Just,
there you go.
Oh yeah.
My brother and I saw. We were laughing. It's like yeah.
Carry On Cowboy.
Bunch's whole storyline is kind of High Noon. And
Carry On Cowboy.
Carry On Cowboy. Oh my God. Oh man, that's good. That's some good stuff. Oh man. Oh, that's great. Oh,
such movies as Major Dundee, Straw Dogs, and the
Getaway is totally High Noon. But
Eric, I love when they do the film review, and it's Eric Idle's like sniffing. He says, "Stop sniffing. Will you please stop sniffing? Please stop sniffing."
Jeez. Oh man.
That was just I'm thinking of a sci-fi western called Oblivion.
Oh, there you go. Yes. Yeah, a full moon.
Riff Tracks took that on.
I joked about part 2 is even more wacky, both with George Takei and the Wishmaster, and the one chick who was in crap like Mortal Kombat 2.
She's in Xena, the Blash or whatever her name was.
Oh yes, she's mighty fine. Outland is Sean Connery, but High Noon in space. We'll take the rapist for 50 trooper.
Yeah, actually, in Outland, he runs around trying to get assistance too, just like in High Noon.
Right. Yeah. And it always took me a minute. I'm like, okay, he's a sheriff of the station, but yeah, that's right. Everybody thinks he's just overreacting, or let the lawlessness continue, man.
Well, no, it's him and Peter Boyle
is the warden. Yeah.
No, Peter Boyle is the head of the operation.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
This drug that the miners take can make them like go for 72 hours straight, but they have a psychosis. And that's why you see some guys go out and they're like, they rip their suits off and they blow up and
what a contrast.
Atmosphere.
What a contrast with the Reagan's America and the drug-induced 80s.
And they're actually hitmen that are hired to get him.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Years before our collars were exploding in Running Man, our stomachs were exploding.
One thing I didn't realize about High Noon is the theme song. I thought that was "Do Not Forsake Me, Oh My Darling." I thought it was an old folk Western song, but that's actually the theme written for the movie.
written for the movie by Tex Ritter, John Ritter's dad.
John Ritter's dad.
Yeah,
it started. I always thought there was an old '30s ballad or something.
Same,
and actually,
but it's actually written for the movie.
And actually, Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Crosby, his dad was a cameraman or cinematographer.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Floyd Crosby.
Didn't they do a cover of that song? Probably not.
They might have.
But yeah, no, that's so true. And like you say, we talked about some of the omitted subplots. Same kind of deal. Is like that. It's an iconic scene, and just they tried out a few different things, and they just like let's have an original song.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I didn't know that song originated with that movie.
I didn't.
I had seen the trivia about it and seen a documentary from back in the VHS days, hosted by Leonard Maltin. But yeah, I keep forgetting. It's like, oh, that's right.
Yeah, because the only song credit is theme from High Noon, and that's the only song you hear. So it had to be. Yeah.
Yeah, Wizard of Oz couldn't be the only movie with an awesome soundtrack. Yeah. Imagine Will Kane in The Wizard of Oz. I'll hunt down this wizard, see if he's what he really is on surface.
Hunt him down for you.
Attention to that man behind the curtain.
And Judy, you and I, let's find those shoes of yours.
Yeah.
Let's find those shoes of yours and try to put them on.
Well, Dorothy and the Wicked Witch are High Noon.
Yeah, and Toto could be. My deputies quit. Toto, do you want the job?
Yeah.
Oh God, it's great.
Well, did anybody mention Lee Van Cleef being in that movie?
I did briefly.
Yeah.
But kudos to you for remembering Jack Elam, Mr. Crazy Eyes.
I was going to say, Jack Elam appears in the movie a little bit, but his eyes got actually a film credit.
At the beginning of the movie, I thought Van Cleef was going to be the main villain, but yeah, it turns out.
Yeah, it was before he got big. He was just a day player. But yeah, Lou Chaney Jr.
And then and Lloyd Bridges' character, where he's the deputy and like he's dating that Hispanic lady, Helen Ramirez.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't want to be with you anymore. He's a man, you're a boy.
Yeah.
Just because you have broad shoulders doesn't make you a man. Yeah.
Right.
It was like I picked the wrong week to stop drinking sarsaparilla.
Oh. Who in the remake, that Hispanic gal was actually apparently played by Maria Chanchita Alonso, who, oh boy, that's great.
Wow.
Might have
wow.
I liked her in Extreme Prejudice.
Yes. Which is totally High Noon.
And Lloyd Bridges is ticked off for the rest of the movie after that encounter with her too. He's picking fights at the bar. He picks a fight with Gary Cooper. Yeah.
He was a hotshot. Get it?
Yeah.
But this time my lungs were aching for air.
Yeah. Mandelbaum.
No, I think he was aching for the sheriff's badge.
Yeah.
Oh man, did Leslie Nielsen ever do a variation on this, like a Western?
No, I don't think so.
He should have.
All right. So here's the thing I'm going to say. Once upon a time in the West, 8 Million Ways to Die in the West.
Okay.
That's High Noon almost, but in a comedic setting.
Absolutely.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Here's Seth MacFarlane's character, complete chicken shit, who's got to face down Liam Neeson's character, who's one of the best.
Leather. They have such wacky names. Oh man. And did any of you ever see? I know we talked about it briefly, but I'm trying to remember how many did actually see it. There was that awesome Western spoof that predates Wagons East and all the other Blazing Saddles.
Stickiest Gun in the West?
No. The Outlaws is coming, 1964.
Oh God, yeah.
With Larry, Curly Joe, and Mo, but they're teaching the inept Adam West to be a sheriff, and he's just like, I think I got it. But he's just such a chicken shit. He's just so afraid. He doesn't even know how to hold the gun right. And they're like, "You're doing fine."
You reminded me of a movie I need to look for.
I'll post it in the group on YouTube. The Outlaws is coming. Yeah.
Oh, talking about spoof movies. Michael J. White
Yeah, that's right. He came out with a new Western in the same kind of Black Dynamite kind of style.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I wanted to see it when it was playing at the Angelica and certain AMC theaters, but
I bought it, but I can't remember right now what the name of it is.
The Outlaw Johnny Black.
Yep.
I didn't even have to look that up. It's in my blood. Now, speaking of which, Mario Van Peebles did do another movie that's a variation on his Posse formula. So I'm like, okay, awesome. He got
It's called Posse, wasn't it?
Yeah, but like it's a newer one, and I forgot how he titled it, but it's a big all-star cast. Edward James Olmos, Whoopi Goldberg, everybody's in this fucking movie. I'm like, I have to see that. That's his Expendables.
Oh, you mean it's one that's not out yet?
No, it's out already.
Okay, but it's recent.
Yeah.
I thought Posse was one that came out a while back.
Yeah. No, it's basically it's kind of a loose regurgitation of that. They called this one. They call it Outlaw Posse.
Oh,
not subtle.
that's original.
Nah, not too original.
So this is a bad guy posse?
I guess so. Yeah, outlaw returns from years of hiding to claim stolen gold. So it's more Treasure of the Sierra Madre in a way. Okay, awesome.
And that case, they literally do not need any stinking badges.
We don't need no stinking badges. It's one of Emmett Walsh's final roles too. So there you go.
Oh, really?
What's that John Waters Western with
Lust in the Dust? Lust in the Dust, but it wasn't John Waters. It was Paul Bartel.
Okay, but it was.
that's right.
But it was Divine, and then
it was Divine, Lady Kazan, Tab Hunter, Cesar Romero.
Wow, there's a deep cut. Jeffrey Lewis, Cesar Romero.
that's sort of had the same, bones as High Noon. The same old, facing down the bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to. How about the Mr. Science Theater movie with Mega Weapon in it? Is that?
Oh yeah, sure.
That's a High Noon. Isn't it a High Noon variant?
It is.
I can't remember the name of it. What was it?
Warrior of the Lost World.
Warrior of the Lost World.
But
I can't remember who he's fighting. The movie was so ridiculous. I just remember being annoyed by his acting style.
But don't forget Gunfighter.
Donald Pleasant?
I was going to say Gunslinger.
Yep. Gunslinger with Mommy Van Doren. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
No,
not Mamie Van Doren.
Beverly
Garland. So what was the one Mamie Van Doren was in?
There was two that she did. There was
I mean, half the biker movies.
She's got a pair of 38s, and the other one was she's got a pair of 38s and guns too.
Baby.
No, not Girls Town with Mel Torme, but she did an earlier one on the first.
Well, I think they're going beyond the MST3K. I think they're going to the other movies she's done outside of that. That might have been a Western, which I can't think of what they are.
Western.
I don't know.
It's all good. From the West.
She was a doll, and we miss her.
She's still
Mamie Van Doren. She's still around.
Okay, then who? Did Beverly Garland pass away?
Beverly Garland's been dead for a couple of years now. Yeah.
All right. Well, we miss you.
Well, yeah. I think she's one of the few actresses. She's one of the few actresses who kind of enjoyed the fact that her movies were being spoofed on Mystery Science Theater.
She did. She was a good sport, along with West and who's the other?
Kim Cattrall and
Robert Vaughn.
Miles O'Keefe.
Yes, he's like coffee. Yeah, that is true. The Cave Dwellers is totally Conan meets High Noon. Let me draw.
Yeah, it was.
Let me draw the dictator sorcerer out of
Final Justice with
Final Justice.
Oh God, Final Justice. Oh,
I saw
Jesus.
Geronimo III. Stop drinking baby oil, and I did see some people say it's a violent version of Free Tin to Yuma, but whatever, that only makes.
You think you're gonna draw me? Go ahead on.
Go ahead on.
Go ahead on.
So here's my question for you.
Mitchell's a High Noon variant too.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Mitchell meets a Walking Tall. So who do you think would win in a fight? Or do you think Charles Bronson or Joe Don Baker would win in a fight? Or would Joe Don Baker just eat more sausage?
Charles Bronson would win.
Joe Don Baker
From the contest.
To be fair, I served in the army. Yeah.
To be fair.
To be fair.
To be
We
fair,
just
I used the
referenced
Bucks. I
Letterkenny.
used the Bucks. This is Charles Bronson. Charles Bronson, how are you going to beat Joe Don Baker? I'm going to make him run around 50 times chasing me. Then if he falls down, I win.
I'm going to kill Emmett. So have you guys ever seen, I think we did mention it in the Shatner episode we did eons ago, of White Comanche?
Oh my God.
Where Shatner finds out he has like a half Navajo twin who's an outlaw and he has to run out of town. And you're just like, what the fuck is going on?
You white man, you do not know how to speak to me.
I've seen a lot of
I am Comanche.
I'm going to fight the Gordon.
There's a movie with was it John Aston from Addams Family?
Yes,
and he's playing a Western, and he's actually playing the bad guy and the good guy.
Oh wow!
Evil Roy Slade.
Yep, that's it. There was a sequel to it too.
Wow.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I didn't know. I got to tell my friend Josh about that.
Jeez.
My friend Josh's mom was in the first one. Edie Adams.
Jealous?
Yeah. His mom was Edie Adams, yeah. So I gotta tell him there was a sequel. I don't know if his mom was in it or not.
I would try to go look for it, but that I would have to look through about 100 DVDs.
The Mill Creek collection, courtesy of Gil.
I'm the same way. I buy these DVDs and you never watch them. They're sitting on the shelf. One of these days.
I mentioned a while back I got like that 200 pack of like grindhouse type movies and stuff.
Yeah,
and I got through 50 of them. That's about as far as I've gotten.
Some of them come up on Tubi, and you're like, I guess I'll watch that one tonight.
Yeah.
The closest I have to any of these action stars is I had a pal, Rick Rodriguez, who I met during community college, and he told me how he once dated like one of the youngest Bruce Willis daughters without knowing that her dad was John McClane.
Oh my God.
And so what's so funny is he's out with her. They're really enjoying each other's company. It was just laid back. It wasn't like crazy or anything. It was just kind of laid back. Hey, we we really like each other's persona. And next thing you know, Bruce comes up to his table. He's like, hey, how you doing? Just thought I'd meet the new guy. And he's like, holy fucking shit. Why didn't you tell me your dad was the dude from Friends and Moonlight?
Was it Runner Willis or Runner Moore?
Not Rummer. I think it was the other gal who was like the activist, the free the nipple.
All right.
But it's just so funny. Is like he's coming to his table. It's like, oh my God, this
your
can't
jaw
be real.
drops like a Tex Avery cartoon when he comes up to you.
Yeah, boing, boing. Yeah. Like Tom from Tom and Jerry. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought A Million Ways to Die in the West. I had to convince my brother to see that. I'm like, trust me, it really is fucking funny.
I love Jamie. Was it Jamie?
Jamie Foxx.
Yeah,
he comes back in as Django.
Where are all the white women at?
Oh, my cousins died when they saw that. They're like, yeah, Django, get it. Shoot that.
No, my favorite part is Gilbert Gottfried as Abraham Lincoln.
Yes.
Fox. I'm Abraham Lincoln.
Oh my God. Oh, that's great.
Played,
look up that YouTube clip.
Didn't he play Hitler in a movie too?
Oh
yeah.
Well, I'm sure the Japanese viewed him as Hitler.
Yeah.
See what I did there. Gilbert Gottfried Hitler movie.
He did this movie where he played Hitler.
Highway to Hell.
Yeah, and it was like it was like the guys who directed it was like he said on the Howard Stern, the guy's name was like Yuki or something like that. He's like, I don't know why the hell it was a paycheck, you know. And he says I make the least convincing Hitler in the world. You know.
I don't know, man.
So how many actors have played Lincoln and Hitler? I think that's
that would be a wonderful thing to look up. Didn't Lloyd Bridges coincidentally star in a movie about Lincoln? I think.
There's this weird little half hour. You just made me think of it. This half hour like movie-let or something like that. It's called Kung Fury.
Yes. Oh my God! I'm still waiting on that
Fury.
sequel. The sequel with Arnold's supposed to come out soon.
That is an off the wall, weird little,
I love it,
movie.
man.
What's
it's
it
like
called?
A Kung Fury.
Kung Fury.
So it's like a total tribute to like 80s cop movies, and he's going against it.
But then
Hitler
he's got
becomes like a transformer. You're just like, what?
It's all over the place. They're using all kinds of computer
Synthwave
graphics.
score.
His partner cop is a dinosaur.
Yes. Whoopi Goldberg was not involved.
And he travels through time, and he meets like these Valkyries or like a Odin type character.
Yeah, does he also have a guy named Hackerman?
I think so. Yeah, who like sends them into time, or you got to have the geek who knows everything.
The best thing about that is that he has a power glove.
Yes! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Oh.
I can't wait for the sequel. Oh.
No, I saw it was for sale for $5 on Vudu, and my wife is like, "Is that really worth it?" I said, "It's crazy enough. I'm going to get it."
Oh yeah, it's definitely worth it.
But you know what the sequel's called?
Just Kung Fury 2. It's not out yet. I'm looking forward to it. Samurai Cop. That's High Noon with illogical storyline.
Birdemic
meets Lethal Weapon. Oh, Birdemic. Yes, the birds meets. Oh, that was the first Rift Tracks live
and the
event
room. How about the room?
Yeah, there you go.
Better yet, Miami Connection.
Miami
Oh,
Connection.
God. Yeah, it is.
Karate Kid meets Miami Vice. Yeah, there you go.
Meets High Noon.
High Noon. Yeah.
With
the room's
with
more
Taekwondo.
Yeah, the room's more. I don't know. Big fat Greek.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark. I'll get you something. Yeah, I did see their. I promise we'll do a special on him. I did see his 2 legit good movies he did, and I was surprisingly entertained. So I believe my sister's theory that Wiseau decided to get the worst possible movie out of his system first, so he can make a good one.
Yeah. Best Fiends you saw?
Yes. Best friends, yeah. And he doesn't talk at all like we're used to seeing him talk. Then Paul Scheer, who met them. In fact, Max Wood on Galaxy of Film told me he's going to be interviewing Greg Sestero this month. So, because he's going to do horror comedy.
Thomas, were you out at my place when we played? Like, I played the riff tracks for The Room.
Don't look at his ass. Don't look at his ass.
And then later on, we watched that movie about him that was done by
Disaster Artist.
Yes, Disaster Artist.
That's a hell of a marathon. Jeez.
When they break into song during the sex scene, it's hilarious.
I was asking everybody there. We were watching it. We watched the riff tracks of The Room, and I'm like, how does anybody feel about watching the Disaster Artist? And then we ended up playing that one as well.
Good enough for me. C is for cookie. Good enough for me.
What is that song that come up with the go fetch the bucket or something during the room?
Fetch the bucket. I'm not sure.
You don't remember during
I've seen it a few times, but yeah. It's
Let's sing a song now during this so we can get through it. Go fetch the bucket, son, or something.
Tommy Wiseau. Has Tommy Wiseau done a Western? Nope, not yet. Should.
It's called High Mark
Noon.
Noon.
Oh, High Noon. High Noon.
Oh, High Noon.
Oh, man. That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, I mean, if they go to an outhouse in one of his movies, they'll have toilet paper.
How's your gunslinging life? How's your sex life? Oh, man. Oh. So, what's the last great Western that you guys saw? I saw the one with John Travolta and Ethan Hawke in A Valley of Violence. That was a fun tribute.
How old is that movie? Because I'm not even familiar with it.
2016 by Ty West, who's now known for the X trilogy.
I think the newest Western I saw was the remake of Magnificent Seven.
Oh, nice. Gatling gun action and everything. Yep.
I still like Once Upon a Time in the West a lot.
Nice. Evil Henry Fonda.
I have the soundtrack on CD. It's a great, beautiful soundtrack. It's Silverado and then Tombstone are probably And well,
I'm gonna try and introduce people to a watch party with Tombstone. It's just so quotable.
Oh, I didn't know we were talking about our favorite ones.
Or just whatever you saw last. I mean, I did mention Appaloosa.
High Noon's the last one I saw. So yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Oh yeah, true.
Technically, yes. But yeah. If you guys haven't seen Appaloosa with Viggo Mortensen, Ed Harris, I think you guys would find that.
I have. I'm trying to remember it. There's some weird stuff going on between like Ed Harris's character and the lady that I'm not
Renee
sure.
Zellweger,
yeah,
the madam of the house, and she gets kind of kidnapped by the outlaw of the town, and it's just fun.
She's not really a good person in that film, is she?
Not really, but it's just it's interesting how they're getting their hands dirty because Jeremy Irons technically has left the outlaw style, but Ed just doesn't believe him. He's like, you're going to be owning a casino very soon and drive this town back into corruption.
I'm trying to think. I want to see Zachariah.
That's that sci-fi thing, right? With
it's for Zachariah.
It's Zachariah. It's like the first rock and roll western. It has like the James Gang in it, Doug Kershaw, Elvin Jones.
Oh, 71.
The New York Rock Ensemble. Don Johnson's in it.
It was Don Johnson early 70s.
Yeah, early 70s.
I remember the radio ads for it. It was
Ben Patton
kind of
plays
an
a guy named
eerie
the
radio
Dude.
ad. Yeah,
the New York Rock Ensemble. Wow.
I think my favorite westerns are
Joe Walsh plays a member of the James Gang. Holy shit! What the hell?
Yeah.
You didn't
Is
know
he more
that?
coherent than he was?
I had no clue.
Yeah, he was more. How you doing?
Hey, dude.
Joe Walsh. I think my favorite westerns are probably the Leone trilogy. You know,
Perfect.
Yeah.
Dollars.
Leone trilogy. I like My Name Is Nobody.
Oh,
with Henry Fonda and
Terrence Hill.
Terrence Hill.
That's a good one.
Yeah, and then there's a movie. Well, I love Silverado. There was one movie that it's a short called. It was with Bob Balaban where he plays a gunfighter.
Oh, the short film. Yeah, I'm so glad you introduced me to that.
The one where he's a passive aggressive gunfighter,
and
he just makes the guy shoot himself at the end.
Yes,
because he's just like, well, I don't know if we could do. You could, but I got something to do. I mean, I like the Leone trilogy. I like Once Upon a Time in the West. I like My Name Is Nobody. I want to, there's 100 rifles.
A recent one I think you guys would really love is called Old Henry.
Oh, that's with
Tim Blake Nelson is so unrecognizable, but yeah, basically a quiet man and his son, they're in a homestead with a stranger and a bag full of cash, and the stranger claims he's a sheriff being pursued by outlaws, but they don't believe his bluff.
I almost bought it one night, but I bought something else instead, so I still haven't watched it yet.
You look good.
Oh, I just thought of a movie that works high noon. Red Rock West. With Nicholas.
Yes.
Neo noir, yeah.
Yes, I saw that.
It's almost
came out in the 90s, right?
It's set in the West. It's almost a Western, yeah. But it's the same type of thing, yeah.
Yep.
Is that the one where it's a mistaken identity kind of thing?
Yeah.
Right. He assumes his identity basically.
Dennis Hopper's in it too, I think.
Yeah. Leonard Flynn Boyle. Yeah. Yeah. And John Dahl did all kinds of
in the theaters and on TV at the same time, and I went and saw it in the theater and then got home and watched it on TV. I think, yeah.
That was when they were trying to predict the market, and it was just so confusing. You're like, as seen on HBO, and go see in theaters now. I'm like,
wait, was that what? That was like almost the same time there was like that big outpouring of like independent filmmakers,
right? Yeah.
Red Rock
showcase,
yeah.
That's worth checking out.
You can't do that now. Now the festivals are greedy. They want to be the first one to premiere your movie, which is why it takes a year for them to keep the release dates under wraps.
God, I remember Red Rock West. I couldn't say it for the longest time.
I remember
Red Rock West. Yeah, it is a tongue twister. Before Nicolas Cage was Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
Nicolas Wage.
That's not the one. That's not the one with him and Laura Dern, is it?
No. Yeah. That's the you're thinking of the David Lynch Wild at Heart.
Wild at Heart.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
I love Laura Dern. And by the way, her father Bruce was one of the few who shot John Wayne.
Yep.
Yeah. I got beat on my
And the
worst.
Cowboys.
The Cowboys, and that is so funny. Everyone was so heartbroken back in the day when he did that. I wonder what they think now.
He got like death threats and shit from what I remember.
Like, Jesus, it's not like he's a walking Statue of Liberty. Jesus.
Well, that's got a high noon thing to it too. When the kids come back and
those damn kids. I'm actually really surprised at how violent those guys are in that 60s movie.
All I'm gonna say right now is if you watch Support Your Local Sheriff, that's that's a high noon movie. That's a high noon movie with comedic twist.
Yeah.
Well, that's your sheriff, and then the other one, Support Your Local Gunfighter.
Gunfighter.
Yeah. Didn't they do a third one? Or when I
No, there was only two.
Oh wow! All right, I will rewatch those.
How about the Trinity trilogy? Trinity is still my name.
That's one of the ones I think JJ mentioned.
Okay,
isn't it?
Well, no, it's
you said My Name Is Nobody.
Trilogy, but
hey,
no, it's My Name Is Nobody. But the Trinity trilogy was kind of separate. But you could lump in My Name Is Nobody with that, you know.
Yeah. But Terrence Hill was in that. He had a partner that he did some movies with.
Bud Spencer.
Yep, Bud Spencer. Was he in those movies too, if I remember correctly?
Yeah. So there you go. There's a future episode.
Billy Jack.
Yes.
Oh,
we had the most fun of that just because it's talking about, hey, movies can be well intended if not completely successful. You know?
Yeah.
And they can be withdrawn by the U.S. government.
Right. And made me just looking up the guy even more is like, yeah, what would a fourth Billy Jack movie had looked like?
Jesus Christ.
Trinity takes down Capitol Hill, yeah.
Oh, I mean, is Trinity or is it My Name Is Nobody where he's doing the slap fight with the guns and the...
Yeah, I remember the
that was
the ad on TV. Yeah, slap, yeah.
Slap.
He did that in My Name Is Nobody where the guy's he's drinking. He's doing the drinking game. And he's like, okay.
He drinks more than Drunken Master.
Yeah. And there's the guy, he's like, I think somebody throws and he shoots the thing and he grabs the, I mean, he was a real good comedian. I remember they were trying to get him started here in the United States. They had him do a movie called Mr. Billion.
What about there was something Super
Fuzz.
Super
Fuzz was the second one he did.
Yeah.
Super Fuzz, where he played a cop, and they were going to get Bud Spencer, but they got Ernest Borgnine instead.
What?
That was big on HBO. Me and my friend Steve Whitner would talk about it all the time at work.
Oh my god!
Like, dude, guess what was on Super Fuzz? Are you shitting me? Yeah.
Super Fuzz is kind of a weird one because he's got powers and stuff in that one.
He's got powers, but the only thing that it's like the Green Lantern is afraid of, like, you know, he can't work if it's yellow.
Jesus,
his powers don't work if it's red.
Faster than a speeding ticket, more powerful than a SWAT team. That is the slogan. I've had that on my watch list, but I forgot I added it there. Jesus. Wow.
Yeah, I've been thinking about Terrence Hill lately and wanting to catch up on some of these movies I hadn't watched in a while. You know, the Trinity movies. And
there's apparently a similar one with Terrence Hill and Bud Spencer called Miami Super Cops. I'm not kidding.
My Name Is Nobody's the one where he's in it with
Kinski.
No. I'm trying to think.
Henry Fonda, Gene Martin, R.G. Armstrong.
Yeah.
You know, as the Colonel in Predator. Jeffrey Lewis, Leo Gordon.
He has one of the best lines in the movie where he's like Henry Fonda's talking to him, like he's talking to him via a letter. He's like, remember you told me that joke about the birdie with the he says, if you got your neck up in shit, don't talk anymore. You know.
Since we're talking about Leone,
if you're neck deep in shit, don't talk anymore.
Yeah, don't talk anymore. Yeah,
that's a great line. On Treasure of the Sierra Madre is totally kind of high noonish. It's like, but everyone's at each other's throat. But there are a few other Sergio Leone ones, like the one with the dynamite, Duck You Sucker.
Duck You Sucker, or what was it called? There was another one.
There's a few other
Duck
ones.
You Sucker. And then there was the Zapata ones.
Zapata. Oh my God, Zapata.
Yeah.
Those ones are so goofy. But the two that Van Cleef does with Jim Brown, those are just so kick-ass.
Oh yes.
And don't get me started on, I'm saying this nicely, Negro Charlie with Williamson.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
Those come on Turner Classic Movies. It's so funny seeing them blur out the name.
Do the Blazing Saddles one where he's like,
the sheriff is at. What did he say?
What is the sheriff?
The sheriff is near.
I
Harvey
saw
Korman
this
is
one.
one of the best villains ever.
I saw this one. I totally forgot. It's one of those forgettable movies. Anyone see Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man?
Oh my God!
That's with Don
Johnson and Mickey Rourke.
Yeah,
and I would get it mixed up with the other one, and the Andrew Dice Clay one.
Yeah,
that gets underplayed a lot.
As bad as I remember.
Huh?
Is it as bad as I remember?
It's been a while since I've watched it.
It was pretty trashy.
Yeah.
Everyone else I know loves it. I'm like, no thanks. Sorry, Daniel Baldwin. I tried.
He was in a pretty decent movie called Dead Bang, though. Don Johnson.
Frankenheimer.
That was
good.
What was the blonde lady in that? Oh crap!
Penelope Ann Miller, who John Leguizamo once said was the craziest actress he ever worked with in his autobiography.
Penelope Ann. Okay. Oh yeah. And then wasn't Tim Venus Flytrap from
Tim Reed?
Tim Reed.
Yeah, he was in it too. Okay.
Wow.
That wasn't a bad movie.
I hope it's not a bad movie. We got too many bad movies to wait through it.
Yeah.
We're all out of good movies, so we're going to the bad movies.
Yeah.
Walker, Texas Ranger. Don't get me started. Come on. That is high noon.
New or old?
Oh, well, that's what's really bad about the new one is they've done a prequel / spin-off of that one that no one asked for. Oh, man. Oh. I'll just say yes.
So I think we mentioned just about every Western ever made tonight.
Yeah.
Doubtful.
The Great Train Robbery.
Yeah.
Yeah. We mentioned
Butch and Sundance.
We haven't done Red River or what is it?
Make that any version of Red River. There's so many.
Gene Autry and the Phantom Empire.
50s TV.
Earl's Fighting Legion.
That's about all the work in the 50s was TV Westerns too.
Right.
Well, that's my mom. I was talking to my mom. She says when they first started watching TV, in the early 50s and stuff, she says that's all they had on there was Westerns pretty much.
All they had. Yeah.
Maverick.
Maverick was the 60s. It was like, trying to think what was on. It was Gunsmoke.
Yeah.
For more on that, see Jill and I's episode. We mentioned just about so many of them. Some we were even introducing to each other. We spoke highly of how the West was won.
Yeah.
Was that a TV
Ramsey
series?
Was part of the mystery.
After being a movie.
Yeah. With Richard Boone.
Yep.
Captain Will Travel.
We pretty much were in agreement that was inspirational. Wagon Train was great as Twilight Zone meets Western anthology.
Death Valley Days.
Welcome to Death Valley Days.
There was a weird Western movie. There's a weird Western movie with Johnny Depp.
Dead Man, where he's the injured gunfighter and he's trying to make his transition to the afterlife uneventful while he's being pursued by inept bounty hunters.
And I think Robert Mitchum, that was maybe his last film.
Yeah,
that
he
was
did the
his last
narration.
role.
Yeah, and
I think he was even in it.
Yeah, he was.
Oh, okay, so I'm getting mixed up with the Tombstone, where his narration blurts out of nowhere. And now the town was under siege. Yeah. The closest I did mention to Jim Jarmusch was mentioning Ghost Dog Way of the Samurai, where they say that like at the end, just for no reason. They're like, it's high noon over here.
Russell's Rhapsody didn't mention.
I think there's a scene in WKRP when Carlson comes out and talks to me. It's high noon, Bailey. I think there's a line in that
If
one
my boss
episode.
is about to fire me, I can at least have a shit-eating grin if he says that. Hey, it's high noon. Need you out the door by 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Oh man. So this has been a delight, guys. I think we have shot as many rounds as we can.
We're getting loopy.
We used movie logic where we're at the end of Red Heat where Schwarzenegger fires 20 shots with a 6-shooter. We're at the opening of The Crow for that matter. Oh my god. Great impressions as always, James. Glad your body's.
I worked with Gary Cooper on High Noon. When we were doing that, I played the guy who comes in. Now we didn't shoot a 6-shooter in those days.
We didn't do
We
an
shot a
Anthony Miller
5-shooter.
Western.
All right.
Oh, The Man from Laramie was my tribute to John Wayne, but I wish he had actually seen it, but the motherfucker was too ego-headed.
I'm Peter Graves.
I don't have anything to do with this, but here I
played in
am.
Gunsmoke. But I didn't do a Western. I was too busy making Mission Impossible.
I call that my high noon.
Peter Graves in a Western is like putting cardboard in front of a rainstorm.
Oh,
I'm sure he's done a Western, hasn't he?
I don't think he has. He must.
Okay, before we go, we're gonna look that up.
Yeah.
See
I'm
what
Peter
happened here,
Graves.
Tom?
I'm coming to get you at high noon.
I don't see any Westerns. What the hell?
Oh,
well, but
okay.
I see it. Well, no, hold up. I see an IMDb photo with him. Oh my god, what the hell's going on here?
He learned to live with a man with a thinking.
He had to have been in a Western.
Okay, Whiplash. Oh my god.
Wow.
TV
I'm
show.
Peter Graves. I was in Whiplash. Unlike
And I
my
would-
lesser brother, James Arnett's.
Oh, get this. On the DVD cover, it says, before Quigley Down Under, there was Whiplash. What the hell does that have to do with Quigley? This was at High Noon inspired. Oh,
Jesus
God.
Christ.
Mission Impossible made you think the government can pull off any conspiracy that they want to any time. You know, they never failed. Remember that? It always
Right.
flawless on
Why do you even call it impossible? Not so
Yeah.
hard, is it?
No.
You guys would love this recent episode they did of NCIS where they pulled a total X-Files, where after hacking into the computer, which they codename Skynet, that's been making people think there's alien invasions around town, and it's really just calculated power outages. Like they end it with, it's not real at all, but let's just say it is. It's just their FU to AI. It's like, that's funny.
And with that, the show gets canceled. Okay.
How do I get AI off Facebook, by the way? It's starting to scare me.
I think it's built on
you can mute
Facebook.
it.
It's
You can
built
mute
in.
it, but that it still pops up. you
I'm
know.
going to target Zuckerberg's headquarters. I don't know.
I've been noticing showing up, like describing, like I post something and people have commented on it. It'll tell you like what the basic discussion's been that's been
Yeah.
going on, that kind of stuff.
It's like Amazon where they're trying
It's like
to.
we can't think for ourselves. You know, come on.
Yeah, I'll decide if Amazon does that too. They're like, most customers said this. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I'm gonna try it out, so I'll let you know if that rating is.
Most customers have thoughts of their own.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Free mind.
It's like we're all being babysat or something. It's just, yeah.
Does Gary Cooper have to come over there and unplug you? What's going on?
Can we come over there and plug you?
I don't think so.
Guys,
That's my job.
guys, I hate to do this. I got to cut out this.
Yeah.
point. I'm going to be going to bed soon.
Still
so-
your girlfriend while I'm at it. Okay, so nighty night. Sleep tight.
All right. It's been real, guys. Okay.
It's been.
Yep,
We're
see you
all,
later.
we're all done
Awesome.
anyway, so.
All
Whose
right.
gunfighter is it anyway? Yes.
Take care. Take care, guys.
All right.
All right.
And
Feel better.
Shoot straight.
I'm feeling better. I just got to be up at 4:30 in the morning. So
Oh,
Yes.
Oh, you started that this week? Yep.
Yeah.
it was 2 weeks ago. I started the
Oh.
new hours.
The clock
So
is
it's
ticking.
not-
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening. It's a jacked up